Greenleaf Landscapes and Garden Center stands impressively along Route 60, sprawling beside and behind other area businesses. But the expansive property that the business now covers started small and simple. A garden center with barely room for plants and a few parked vehicles. The current facility and grounds, from massive indoor storage and efficiency systems to a spacious office for management needs, may appear as though the entire grounds were pre-planned and built all at once. However, the facility growth and improvements made headway just like the rest of the business, cautiously, patiently, and intentionally. After acquiring the garden shop from Floyd Fulmer, Greenleaf's first property improvement consisted of a truck toolbox from an old Mr. B potato chip truck that was delivered to the property and used as tool storage.
82, 83, whenever we're working out of, tried to find a photo of that, whenever our first contractor building was the Mr. B box, and it wasn't very big, 14 foot maybe, off the back of a truck. We're storing all our tools and our tillers in this Mr. B box out back. I'll never forget that. It was, it was in the mud and couldn't afford any stones, so it was in the mulch bin there someplace, and everything was poured out in piles and stuff. So.
I can remember when they revamped that the first time, when it used to be the Ambrose was over Ambrose Arnold.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they tore it when they tore the cooler off the back of that. That was back, probably back when I was 16 or something like that when they did that. Yeah. 15 or 16 when I was over there.
Right.
And after school, I was over there watching old Ambrose cut the rafters off over there with a chainsaw and hit electric line. Sparks was flying.
Oh, really? A new warehouse quickly followed for the ever-increasing amount of tools, equipment, and material.
We decided, I don't know what it was, sometime in the early 80s, we decided, well, we better put a warehouse in. Obviously, we couldn't afford to build it, so I remember then that we paid about $8,500 for a building package for our retail warehouse out back, that $8,500, and that included the plans. Well, I couldn't even buy the plans for this building. For the $8,500 I bought that building package for, and we built it with our own people, and our own what we could, and hired a little bit of it. Had at that point had no lighting, no concrete floor, no heat, so we huddled up in the retail thing and run back and did our thing in summer, and we'd eventually get a little part-time mechanic. Anybody that showed up that had mechanical skills, we'd work on them, but they'd be laying in a dirt floor with no heat back there working. So things have changed over the years. So
yeah, no sod cover, no edger. We had like 1 or 2 bobcats, and that was it.
Okay.
2 dump trucks, pickup trucks.
Yeah. How many crews were going out every day?
There was like 3.
3 crews.
Yeah.
So 80.
That depends on it. It was like 6 guys that went out basically.
Really?
It could be 2 to 3 crews.
Right, depending on what the job was. And
it was quite a difference than it is now.
Yeah, yeah.
Because back then, we only had a certain amount of tools to work with. Every morning it was a fight and scramble for tools.
Oh, I heard about that.
Yeah, you didn't have anything to work with that
yeah.
day. If you didn't get there first, you were in trouble.
Oh, no.
Like nice new wheelbarrow sitting there. You didn't have that.
No, never.
So we were lucky to get new tools and stuff.
Yeah. Everybody made the mad dash in the morning.
And the old building over there. See, there was dirt floor in it and everything.
Oh, the warehouse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The old warehouse.
Okay.
It was dirt floor and had the straw all piled up in one corner of it, clear to the ceiling. So
Oh, wow.
Space was really limited back then.
Yeah, I guess.
We tried to run that whole operation out of the little store up front and stuff. And of course, over the years, it just started growing.
Yeah.
Tools used to be just along the wall, the hand tools and the wheelbarrows.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we then we went on to having stalls over there to put your tools in.
Right.
Jerry Offenberger, and when we started that back addition, framed that. Set the trusses and cut 45s on the back of that building on the back there when we put the roof on.
Yeah.
Couldn't be square, it had to be Al redesigned the roof a little bit.
Oh, really?
So he put the 45s on them corners back there on the old retail building.
Yeah. Why was that?
Something different. You couldn't, had to look different.
Just a different look,
Yeah.
But Greenleaf soon began filling out this small space beyond desired capacity, pushing the need for more and more surrounding parcels of land to be purchased. Most of these came slowly and methodically through the course of many years as former owners would eventually consent to the transaction. Over 15 individual parcels now make up the Greenleaf property. Each parcel acquired has its own unique story. One such story was tied to the small parcel that still holds the large billboard in front of the property. With a growing fleet of equipment, Greenleaf needed access to Route 60 for greater efficiency and ease. But the owner of this small parcel was adamantly against the idea of selling. So after 10 years and multiple follow-up conversations, Al finally convinced the owner through a handwritten letter to sell the parcel, with the agreement that the billboard would belong to her until she passed away. And indeed it did. Perhaps one of the hardest challenges Greenleaf faced at their location was the large creek that weaved back and forth through the middle of the usable land. Initially, bridges were built at various locations to allow navigation across the whole property, but this eventually proved inefficient, and thus led to a winter-long company-wide project. The bridges were removed and drain culverts installed. The entire property was finally accessible with ease. As Greenleaf improved efficiency systems for jobs and crews, the demand for materials to be stored on-site became much greater. Thus, large storage barns were constructed to house materials such as topsoil that would be rendered useless if exposed to the elements. Growth pains of operating a high-level design and build landscaping business out of a small garden center with one warehouse and a few storage facilities quickly became a hindrance and a frustration, which is why Greenleaf invested much time and money into the company to construct a state-of-the-art facility that now houses offices, equipment, and materials in a seamless efficiency system.
We built this building in 99 or 2000, did a lot of it ourselves, hired a small contractor that we supported and put a lot of labor over here in it ourselves through the winter. Became something that we could pay our guys to do, and I remember the boys kind of being in the way, and I think Garrett got up here and got to aggravating one of the things, and they power nailed his shoes to the floor, and things like that. But obviously the landscape guys helped do some of this, because that's why the drywall's a little wrinkled and some things like that. It looks like the landscape guys built it. No, it's good quality, but it was all good. It was a lot of work. And then we jump back here. We knew that in our retail operation here, we had steps all over the place, so we really needed to get to the point where we needed to upgrade our facility and get it kind of on one level so you could shove shopping carts through it. So we did several little things, and actually in 2004, we're thinking we're about ready to do our upgrade. We had a really good year that year, so we're good at putting all our money back into this thing. So we had a really good year that year, so we decided we're going to go ahead and do our improvements over there. We'd already done 2 or 3 little office additions over the 80s and the 90s over there to get us a little bit of room. But and then what happened in 04, we're thinking about doing an upgrade that winter. So I'm getting ready for it, and the good Lord sent us a flood and put a foot of water in our garden center and screwed up all the drywall. So we just cut it off the bottom, and that was in September, and waited for the renovation to fit right in real good. And so we start late that fall, about December, and start demoing greenhouses and building walls and lifting up thing and putting in new irrigation system. We did that all with our people. I think we kept our whole work staff on that winter to do this thing, because we did a lot of things. We had a great winter to do it. Hardly any snow and cold weather, and so we poured walks and paved and did the overhead structures, and by April we were ready to rock and roll, so that worked out.
Along with many other small and large improvements done on the Greenleaf facilities, the company also navigated the growth into another market, a city about 45 minutes away, Athens, Ohio. Able to find an existing building and to purchase another landscaping business that met the minimal requirements, Greenleaf began an Athens branch, offering the same quality service to that community and surrounding territories.
We decided, well, if we're tracking back and forth all the time, we looked at the numbers, and for the fuel and the travel time we had, we could actually start a location in Athens. So whenever Garrett comes out, we decided, well, that would be a good location for him, because Garrett's the type guy that can do a lot of different things. He can do mechanic, he can do sales, he can do a lot of different things. So actually in 2010, right before we started our location over there, we bought a landscape company over there called Pool Landscaping. We just ended up, he wanted us to buy his clients, but he didn't have a good enough client base for us. The numbers weren't good enough, so we ended up buying his equipment. So all at once we plug in 5 trucks and a bunch of miscellaneous stuff into our fleet. So that gave us a little bit of boost, so we had plenty of equipment to run with. So I believe it was 2011. Garrett was out, and we leased an area, building over there. We run out of it for about a year, a little bit less, and we found a facility over there next to Days Inn on 33, which is not the best retail location, but it's close to town. It's really good to work out of. It already had a building in it, and I didn't want to overcommit capital outlay, and it had 20 acres with it, so we could mine our own topsoil and dump our trucks and stuff, so it really worked out good.
Through each and every improvement, Greenleaf's goal has always been to grow in both steady and sustainable ways. Greenleaf allowed the business to dictate the facilities, allowed the demand to dictate the business, and they always knew that the quality of work would dictate the demand. Their goal has always been, and always will be, simple. Provide the highest quality work possible, and the rest will fall into place.